My name is Fina Chichi. I'm a parenting educator and the founder of Relationship and Growth Parenting Academy. Welcome to my channel. Today, I want to speak on something that really touches my heart a lot, and which I know that when you really get the concept of what I'm sharing, parenting will change for you. You see, a lot of times we have been raised and we have been brought up to focus on behavior, the child's behavior. How is the child doing this? Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do it. And there's nothing wrong with behavior. There's nothing wrong with focusing or having a part dealing with behavior. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't want us to think that we should ignore behavior. What I want us to learn to do is to actually even think beyond behavior. Because as I tell parents this, that I always say this to parents, the very common phrase that I use, that a lot of times we're thinking it's a behavior problem. You know, they come to me, they tell me this happened, this is my child did this is, it's not a behavior, it's actually not a behavior problem. It's more of a relationship gap. There's a gap in the relationship. And you may think, oh, well, but I'm doing everything I need to do as a relationship between me and my child. The question is your child receiving that as well? Because relationship is a two-way street, right? And so the key thing is we may be saying, but how is our child receiving it? You may think you're correcting your child, but how is your child receiving the correction? What is your child remembering about the correction? And this is why I say that even when we're correcting our children, we need to be very mindful about our emotional state. Because if we're correcting with anger, the lesson is lost. And all the children will remember is how they felt. They will remember that anger. They remember the fear that came with that. And so we then lose the point of what we're trying to do. Okay, so the experience that our children are experiencing from us is part of the relationship. But what I want to do today, and I'm going to be going back and forth to my notes because I really want to make this and bring out the points that I've written down. I think for me today, what I want us to really get from this talk I'm going to have is I want us to be able to understand what shapes our children's hearts. Because it's from their hearts that they're going to do things. It's from their hearts that the desires, their direction, their decisions, it's from their hearts, definitely. So what shapes our children's hearts? The next thing is, how do we unintentionally, I'm going to use that word, how do we unintentionally damage their hearts? That's number 2. And then I'm going to talk to us of how we can help guard their heart in a very intentional way. Help guard it. I'm Christian, and there's a part in the Bible that tells us to guard our hearts because out of it springs the issues of life. Life depends, the decisions we make, the direction we take, the desires we have, they all stem from our hearts. So how are we shaping our children's hearts? Because it's from our hearts that our children are going to make the decisions they make. From their hearts, they're going to make the decisions they make. It's from their hearts they're going to go in the directions they're going to go in. It's from their hearts. And so how do we shape their hearts in such a way that they have the foundation that we're helping them? Because we're the guardians. Right now, we are their temporary guardians of their hearts. So we have to teach them how to guard their hearts. But before we can even teach them how to guard their hearts, we need to help guard their hearts as their temporary guardians, isn't it? We have to help shape their hearts so that as they grow, then they learn how to guard their hearts themselves, because we're not going to be with them 24/7. Okay, so that's really, really the key. So let's look into behavior versus the heart. A lot of times we focus on behavior. Again, stop that, don't do that, why are you doing that? But if you really think about it, behavior is not the root. There's already a belief in them. There's already a belief in them before they're behaving how they're behaving. You might see a child that is lazy, and you may say, oh, you're a lazy child. That child is probably, what that child is the child is overwhelmed. The child is overwhelmed, so they're thinking, I can't even get this right. I'm overwhelmed. I've got to do this. I'm not doing any. Sometimes that's the root. And it's that root that we need to address. They're overwhelmed. But guess what, for parents, you and I, Sometimes we don't know the roots because the child has not told us the roots. The child is only acting from that roots. All we're seeing is the behavior. So we think, oh, this child is lazy. We're not seeing the overwhelm that is causing this child to be lazy. And this is why we need to parent in such a different way that we get to the roots of it. And getting to the roots of the behavior starts with our relationship with our children. It starts with their experience. Are they experiencing safety in the home? Are they experiencing that they can feel free to express how they feel without being judged, without being criticized, without being compared to? That's the key. When our children can feel safety, emotional safety in our homes, then they're able to freely say, oh, mom, I feel that this is just too much. I feel I can't handle this. I can't. Then we can help them deal with the overwhelm. That's the key. That is the key. We need to get to the roots. Sometimes our children don't even know the roots, but it's through our non-judgmental questioning, the how and what questions, not the why questions, because you ask them, why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? They don't know. No clue. It just shuts them down. The why questions just shuts them down. But when you ask them things like, what's going on in your mind? What are you thinking? The what and the how is what helps them to bring up, oh, yeah, I was thinking that I had so much to do. I was thinking that I have this, I haven't finished this yet. I haven't done that yet. So that there's no point. Once you hear that, that's your way in. Once you hear that, that is your way in. That's not the time to start criticizing them and saying, are you the only person that has all these things to do? I did this when I was young. I was able to do this. No. This is not the time to do that. This is not the time. This is the time to catch them. They've said they're thinking this. How can we then teach them the lessons? Break those tasks into smaller bite sizes. Teach them how to break those tasks that they're doing, so that when they finish one, they know that they finished that one. That overwhelm is dealt with. They finish this one, they know it's dealt with. That's done with. Then you find out that they've learned now how to deal with the overwhelm by dividing the task up into bits. And guess what? They end up doing stuff. That's because now we've learned to focus on the roots. We've been able to get the roots out of them and then teach them how to navigate in that route that they're talking about. A lot of times our children are reacting from the roots and we are focusing on that fruit rather than going down. And it's through our dialogues with them, it's through our respective relationship with them and communication with them that we will be able to get to the root of the matter. We don't get to the root through shouting, through anger. Anger, shouting, criticizing, comparing them, all that shuts them down. Even they don't even go down to find out what's going on. So this is the key that we need to remember. Behavior versus their hearts. The behavior versus the roots. The fruits, which is what you're seeing, versus the root that is actually causing it. Their thinking, their beliefs, their emotional states, how they're feeling in that moment. That's the key. And that's what we need to help our children, because our children don't know. We have to guide our children. We have to guide them. So whenever you see a behavior, instead of thinking, whoa, they've come again, you're being rude, you're being angry, you're being that, let's think about what's going on underneath it. What's happening underneath my child? What are those emotions? What are those experiences? What are those beliefs that they have in their minds? Because I tell you something with children, the more we criticize them on different things that they do, the more they feel they're not enough. They feel, okay, what's the point? I've heard many young people tell me that. But coach, auntie, what's the point? She said I'm this, he said I'm that, he called me that, she said that. What's the point? And that what's the point belief in our children makes them not bother. They can't be bothered to do what it is you want them to do. They can't be bothered to be motivated because of words that we have unintentionally used. Because I say this from a non-judgmental point. Many of us as parents don't criticize our children out of hate, out of that we don't care. No. We're trying to get them to do stuff. But the key is, what emotional state are we in when we're trying to get them to do stuff? Because yes, I know, parents tell me, I've told them this several times, they've not done it. Yes, I know that. But still, don't bring anger into the equation, because the anger will only just shut them down. They lose the lesson, they remember the anger. That's all they will do. So in that thing you're trying to motivate them to do, all they can associate that thing with is anger. Go and read your books, go do your homework. It's all in anger. It's not in motivation. It's not in speaking about their future. There are lots of things that we say. We're saying the right things, but we're expressing it in the wrong way. And this is what I teach parents, because we need to learn these things. If we don't learn them, we will default to parenting in these ways that do not help our children and do not help us in the long run. So that's the key. That's the key between the behavior and what is actually underneath. And that's something that we need to always remember. When we see that behavior, don't be fooled by the behavior. Get to the root of the matter. How do we unintentionally wound our children's hearts? And I say this because it's very unintentional. We don't wake up in the morning and say, you know what? My child's heart today, let's go for it. No, it doesn't happen at all. It is very, very unintentional. We do it through unintentionally, through harsh words, through constant corrections, through comparisons, through dismissing their feelings, through ignoring their opinions. Sometimes we do this because we just think we are always right. But as parents, we're not always right. We're not always right. And it's important for us to be able to allow our children to speak their opinions, share what they have, even if their opinions don't make sense. It's okay, just hear them out. Because a child who feels heard, a child who feels seen, and a child who feels valued, you will see less misbehaviors from them. These three things are key: feeling heard, feeling seen, and feeling valued. Because these three things interpret their beliefs. If they don't feel heard, they feel, what's the point of talking? They shut down. If they don't feel seen, they feel, I'm not enough. I don't know enough. If they don't feel valued, they feel, this stuff that I have in me, this brilliance or this stuff I have in me, well, they've not valued it, so it must not be real. Yes, it must not be real. And so they don't act on it. They're not creative, they're not motivated, they just can't be bothered because they don't feel seen, they don't feel heard, and they don't feel valued. So we need to understand that if we are angry, because we will get angry sometimes, we will get frustrated. Nothing wrong with being angry and frustrated, but it's what we do in the anger and the frustration that is key. So we need to learn how to regulate our emotions. We need to learn how to correct our children from a regulated state of mind. We need to learn that. And we need to unlearn the yelling, the shouting, the criticizing. We need to unlearn it. Because as I always say, parenting is a process of continuous learning, unlearning, and relearning. We can't parent from a stagnant point. Even our children will get bored of us. Our children will outgrow us. We've got to continuously learn, because as our children are growing, we are growing as well. If we stay stagnant without growing, what do they say about stagnant waters? Stagnant waters stink. People don't want to be around stagnant water. And when we stay stagnant in our parenting, our children don't want to stay in that. And when I mean they don't want to stay in that, it's not as if they don't want to be with you, but your influence becomes less. And guess what? When your influence becomes less, who do they go to? They go to friends. They go to social media. They go to the internet. And we know the internet and the social media, they weren't built with your children's well-being in mind. They weren't built with your children's well-being in mind. And so we've got to be very mindful of these things that unintentionally damages our children's hearts. Because as I said at the beginning, their lives, desires, decisions, directions, all of that is going to come from their hearts. So let's now talk about how to start guarding, actually. Let's talk about how to start guarding our children's minds. I'm going to give you, I think I've got 4 points here. First of all, create emotional safety in the home. So, things, when we talk about emotional safety in the home, we're talking about your emotional presence, your emotional language when they're going through things as well. Let's say, for example, your child is crying. So instead of you to say, stop crying, why are you crying like a baby? And this, why act your age? You tell them, see, I know that something matters to you. Talk to me about it. What's going on? Let's talk to me about it. So that you're sharing with them. Yeah. So that if your child comes to you and says, oh, my friend didn't share with me in school today, or my friend didn't call me for lunch today, or that, don't start saying, oh, get over it, go and get another friend. That's being dismissive emotionally. Catch that emotion. Oh, I see that hurts. That would have hurt me too. Validate that emotion, validate it, and then teach them what to do next for next time. Yeah. So emotional safety, because when our children feel emotionally safe in the home, they're able to then open up and share with us things that we need to know. So these are the things that we've got to start helping our children to see. So create that emotional safety. Number two is separate their behavior from their identity. Please separate their behavior from identity. Correct what they did without labeling them, not saying you're lazy, oh, you're so rude. Instead of saying you're so rude, say that wasn't a kind choice. No, I don't accept that rudeness. You don't accept the rudeness. You're not calling them rude. You don't accept the rudeness. You don't accept that language because that language is rude, but not they themselves. So learn to separate the behavior from from their identity, because when we put the identity on them, they embrace that identity. We're their parents. They're going to believe us. So they hold on to that identity. And so it's even harder to correct the behavior. You see them going back to that behavior over and over again because they've identified with that behavior. We don't want our children to identify with the behavior we're trying to correct them from doing. So we've got to separate the behavior so that they know that that behavior is separate from their identity. So that's really key. Okay, so number three is stay regulated while you correct. I said that kind of at the start, where our calmness is what makes the learning very, very possible. And then number four is be mindful of what they see. What are children? Your children are actually watching how you speak, they're watching how you handle stress, and they're watching how you treat people. And these are the things that when they repeatedly see, that's who they repeatedly become as well. They're learning, they're absorbing from what we are actually teaching them. So those ways are the ways that we can help guard their hearts. I'm going to repeat those ways because I had to cut my video up. First of all, create emotional safety, separate behavior from their identity, and then stay regulated when you control, when you correct them, and finally be mindful of what they see. And I trust that these points that I've shared will help us see that it's so important that we help to shape their hearts, because it's from their hearts they're going to have their desires are going to come from their hearts, their decisions are going to come from their hearts, and the direction of their life and the course of their life is all going to come from their hearts. So let us help our children guard their hearts, and then as they grow, we start to teach them how they can actually guard their hearts as well, by understanding and navigating through making sure that they listen to the right things, making sure that they read the right things, making sure that they guard their hearts. That's our job as parents. That's our role as parents. And it's in our relationship with our children that what we teach them really, really lands. And finally, I'm going to say this. I will say it's not really, I think what we can do as parents is when we start shifting the focus from how do I stop this behavior to actually what is being formed in my child's heart. Because we want to get to the bottom of what is going on in our child's hearts. That's the roots. We want to get there to be able to then deal with the fruits, which is the behavior. Because we're not just raising, we're not just raising a child. We are shaping the future adults. That's what we're doing. So let's help to shape their hearts. Let's help to guard them in a way that their hearts are prepared for those desires. They're prepared for those decisions, and they're prepared for the direction of life that your child is going on. I trust that this has helped. And if this has resonated with you in any shape or form, do us a favor, subscribe to the channel. We really want to grow this channel because this is so important. Many times that I hear back from parents about mistakes they've made, about things that they've said, things that they've done. I was like, please go to my channel. Please go to my channel and just watch and feed yourself and learn. We're all in this together. I'm still learning. You're still learning. We are all in this together. So I'm looking forward to seeing your subscription. I'm looking forward to hearing your comments. I'm looking forward to seeing you share this video as well. I know that this video will help many, many parents. And even if we've made those mistakes along the way, there is never a better time to change. There's never a better time to transform. There's never a better time to repair than today. So go for it. Go and repair. Go and make adjustments. Go and talk to your children. Go and just share your heart with your children. Your children need you. We all need you. We all need you because you are their custodians. We all need you. So I will see you this time next week. Remember that parenting is more than a role. Parenting is actually a relationship that continues to grow. So have a great time nurturing that relationship. And I'll see you next week. And remember, I am rooting for you all the way. You take care. God bless. And I will see you next week. See ya. Bye.